Leah B here, and welcome to this Thursday night badass yin class where we are going to break down the dragons. We're going to practice a dragon's flow, and then we can talk about it, or we can talk about whatever you want after the class. So if you're a yinster like me, you know that the dragon's pose is probably the most yang style of all the yin poses. It's very active and a lot of sensation. If you've read my blog post every week for this workshop, I send out a blog post through email. And in the blog post, I shared how, like, the very first time I ever did yin, the teacher had a dragon cycle in the class. I never forgot yin after that, because it's like, you think yin's going to be relaxing and you're laying on your mat and you get to tone into yourself, and it's amazing. But when you're in dragons, it's actually physically and mentally challenging. It can be. This is why setting up in this pose is so important with props. As you can see behind me, I have a blanket. I have a bolster, which is not necessary, but it's nice to have if you'd like, and 2 blocks. If you do not have blocks, have a way to bring the floor to you, like soup cans, weights under your hands if you need. It's just nice to be able to reach the floor. So grab 2 blocks and a blanket for sure. The bolster is secondary. Our dragon's pose, I'm going to go over it quickly with you here. It's essentially like Anjaneyasana, or low lunge. So you're stepping your 1 foot forward, stacking your knee over your ankle, and then this left knee walks back. And a lot of us, if we're really tight, you might find it easier to stack. If you're stacking, just try to press the hip forward just enough so that you're getting a little bit of that sensation in the hip socket. We also love props, right? So I would never, ever practice this pose without a blanket under my back knee. It just makes, like, if you're going to be on the floor, you may as well support yourself so that you can manage this. Now, if you want to make it a little bit less intense, and this is still too much, and you have a bolster, like this even helps to support the knee even more. So if you need even extra, that's a great way to pad for this. The sequence that we're practicing today with the dragons is we're doing a full dragon cycle, 5 minutes on each side. We'll start with something to open up the front of the legs first, which is a saddle, and then we'll close it out with a forward fold caterpillar pose, just to help us, tune back in and, bring our head away from the intense sensations that we created within the dragon's pose. So now is your opportunity to grab props if you haven't already, and then meet me on your mat so that we can get into our first pose, which will be a saddle. Oh, and before you get into that pose, if you have a glass of wine or your tea or your water, have it close by. You can sip in between. The beauty of yin is you can have a nice little glass of wine. It's Easter weekend. It starts now. So meet me on your mat. We're going to come into saddle pose first, and this is where I'm going to use my bolster. Now, you don't have to come all the way down. Starting in a hero pose, so bringing your toes to touch, allow your heels to fall open and sit in between your feet. If it's too much, this is where a block comes in handy. You'll widen your feet a little bit and just place that block to sit. The idea in this pose and what we're trying to do is open up the fronts, the tops of the legs with your quads. It's also going to go into your lower back. So if you're okay with sitting on a block, sit on the block. And I'm going to bring my bolster behind me for this. So if you've got one, you can. And it's just about leaning back. I'm going to come all the way down onto my bolster. You can come onto your forearms. You can stay on your hands and lean back. You can stay sitting up. So this is our opportunity to just come into our body. So close your eyes and start to check in. Let go of your day. And let go of whatever you've got to do after this class. Focus on your breath and the sensations that you are feeling as you breathe. And take a moment now just to think of what brought you to your mat. What's your intention? Did you come here to work into your hips? Was it to let some shit go? It doesn't really matter why you came. It's important to acknowledge why. So just think about that. We're going to slowly come up. So if you're laying all the way down onto your bolster, come up onto your elbows and forearms, press up onto your hands, come all the way up, sit onto your heels, remove the bolster, and we're going to go directly into dragon on the right. We're going to start with dragon flying high. So I suggest you set up your blanket for that back knee. Once your blanket's set up, bring your knees onto it, come into table and step your right foot between your hands, walk your left knee back, and come up onto your right thigh. So your hands can come up onto your thigh. You can also take blocks if you'd like and place them under your hands, but we're upright for this first dragon pose. And I'm going to start a timer so we know what's going on. So starting in dragon flying high. The idea is your right knee is over your right ankle. Your left knee is behind your left hip. And you're allowing gravity to press your hips forward and down. Lengthen up through the crown of your head, shoulders back. And just notice how with every inhale, you create that expansion into your chest, your ribs, and your belly. With every exhale, you're surrendering a little bit more to gravity. And just notice the sensation that your breath creates with the inhale, and then again with the exhale. On your next exhale, we're coming into dragon flying low. So your hands are coming on either side of your right foot. You can still keep your hands on blocks, or you can move the blocks aside and just have your hands on the floor on either side of the right foot. Dragon flying low. Might make it a little bit deeper. If you find with any of these variations that we come into that it is too much, then you come out of it, you take a break, and you come back. Or just ease up. It's our choice how deep we go into these poses. In a yin practice, you want to be working at about 70% of your effort. So you want to feel a sensation, but not your edge, not when you start. That comes later. And just take it breath by breath. We're coming into baby dragon, which is just like lizard pose. So bring your right hand to the inside of the right leg. Walk your right foot out just so that your right hand is under the right shoulder. You can stay up on your hands or come down onto your forearms or forearms on blocks. So maybe you start on your hands, work your way down onto forearms on blocks, and then maybe as we go, you might want to come a little lower. It's your choice. Just really focus on that target area, the right hip, your groin. You might feel this in your spine. We all feel it in different places. Just notice where you do. Breathe into that area. Notice your breath changing the sensation. It's all about being curious about your breath. I'm going to take it now into a winged dragon. So start to roll onto the baby toe edge of your right foot, opening your right knee out like a book. As you can see, my knee is now falling open to the right. Forearms are staying down here for me. You can even remove your blocks if you feel like that would work for you today, or you stay exactly as you are. And as time goes on, gravity allows the right knee to fall open even more. And just notice if your mind is wandering. And I find it's challenging for the mind. Your mind doesn't wander as much in dragons because you are just focusing on breathing through the sensation. It can be intense. Okay, we're coming into our final variation. So come up onto your hands. Our final minute here. I didn't mean it for it to be so loud. Sorry to scare you, but we're coming into a twisted dragon. So your left hand stays under your left shoulder and your right hand comes to the outside of your right knee. Think of rolling your right shoulder open and look over your right shoulder. Taking it into a twist. We're almost through this side. Take one last deep breath here in twisted dragon. And as you exhale, untwist. Bring your right foot to the floor, so bringing your right knee back up over the right ankle. And step back into downward facing dog or child's pose, whichever one you feel called to. For me, I need a down dog after I hold dragon pose for 5 minutes on one side. I have to have it. But for others, you may want to just take child's pose, give yourself a little gentle break. For me, I need a little movement. And whenever you're ready, coming down onto all fours, and we're gonna cycle on the left side this time. So stepping your left foot between your hands, walking your right knee back. We're coming up onto the left thigh, or if you'd like blocks underneath your hands, for dragon flying high on the left. So remember, in yin, we are letting go of muscular effort here. And in dragons, some of that is not possible. We have to hold ourselves here in certain ways, but there's definitely room to soften, especially in your hips. So come down to dragon flying low, having one hand on either side of your left foot. Feel free to have blocks underneath your hands if you need. You can always just do this in one variation as well. Today's class, I'm showing you the many cycles of dragon you can complete, but you could also stay in one variation for an entire length of time. It's your choice as a yoga teacher or as a yin practitioner. Okay, coming into baby dragon, bring your left hand to the inside of your left leg. Walk your left foot out just a little bit so that your left hand is under your left shoulder. And now come down onto your forearms if that's available to you, if you choose it. Maybe blocks under the forearms. And in this variation, try not to allow the left knee to fall open to the left just yet. We will get there in our winged dragon. For now, we're trying to keep that left knee hugging in toward the body, into the center line, not allowing it to splay open, but not too much effort. All right, let's take it into our winged dragon variation. Allow your left knee to fall open like a book. Maybe here you'll remove your blocks if you have blocks, see if you can go a little bit further in. If not, then that's fine. Like you go with what your body allows you to do. And just breathing. One thing I love to share in a yin practice is that our breath is what allows your body to go deeper. Your muscles are there to protect your joints. So when we go into these deep poses, your muscles are going to contract and engage to protect the joints. That's naturally what they're meant to do. So in yin, we're trying to target those areas. We need to let our muscles know it's safe. By breathing fully and completely, we're telling our nervous system that it is okay, and this is controlled. And you'll notice as you practice this, your body just lets you in. It allows you in. Okay, coming into our twisted dragon, come up onto your hands. Your right hand underneath your right shoulder, left arm comes around the left knee. Think about rolling the left shoulder open. You're twisting into the upper body. Look over your left shoulder. And continue to breathe. And if at any point you need to return to a different variation, it's always okay. And just notice if you've got your eyes open and you're looking around your room, or are they closed and you're tuned into the sensations? Either's fine, like whatever works for you. But we work toward closing our eyes and going inward in yin. All right. Bring your left foot back to the floor, undo your twist, left hand to the floor, downward facing dog or child's pose, whatever works for you. Release it. And be very slow with your movements. When you come out of a yin pose, for me, like that is my favorite part, is coming out, because that the sensations, the release that you get, it's magical. It is. It's delicious. Okay, our final pose to close out our 15-minute badass yin. We're coming into caterpillar, also known as seated forward fold, seated forward bend. So sitting up on your blanket, always recommend. Extend your legs out long. You can always have your blocks close by as well. Even your bolster is always nice too. I think you use mine. Place your bolster underneath your knees. Now extend your legs out nice and long. Make sure you're sitting on your sits bones. Your spine is long. Bring your blocks into your hands. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Press your heels away and find length into the backs of the legs, and then set your feet down. Relax your feet. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, lead with your heart, hinge and fold. Allow your belly to come down, round into your spine. And you can just rest your arms on blocks if you want a little bit of extra lengthening into that upper back. But really just let everything go here, and let gravity and your breath do the work. Let yourself be soft and heavy. With every inhale, create space. And with every exhale, let everything go. And take a moment to remind yourself of your intention. What brought you to your mat tonight? On your next inhale, lift your head, start to walk your hands back in toward your body. Move your props out of the way. Extend your legs out nice and long. Give them a little shake or a bounce. And then face the front of the mat, sit in cross-legged seat. Sit up nice and tall. Bring your hands to your heart center. And we'll close our practice with this message. And really all it is tonight is that you are a badass. The reason I say that is because you showed up. You showed up for you tonight so that you could work into your lower body, so you could let some shit go on your yoga mat, and so you could connect. That's what yoga is all about. We get the physical benefit, we get the mental benefit, and then we also get the spiritual and emotional benefit when we connect. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the sequence tonight. Namaste. Hey Yogi, Leah B here. If you enjoyed this class, why not catch the next one live? I host free 15-minute Yoga for Active Bodies classes every week. All you have to do is head over to leahyogachick.com and register, and I'll send you the Zoom link. See you there.